Hey everybody, I'm Elyse Sparks from Sparks Wellness, where we talk about getting moving in body, business, and life. And I'm so excited today that we're talking to Zoe Levine. She is the founder of the Thriving Body and Strong as a Mother postnatal workout programs. She's a melt instructor and so many other things, dancer, mom of two. I feel like the list could go on and on and on with Zoe. She's amazing and she's super special and near and dear to my heart because Zoe, you actually gave me my first personal training job in New York City. Now you're not in New York City anymore, but that basically started me off on my career path. So first I have to say thank you. And second, I have to say welcome. And I'm so excited to be talking to you, connecting, and getting some of your wisdom and knowledge and everything that you have to offer to share with the people.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And it's been fun watching you kind of explode from, brand new dancer trainer. We were both dancer trainers in New York City for a while. So, yeah, it's been so fun to watch you explode and expand and help so many people in the special ways that you do. So thank you for having me.
Oh. Well, I know we were chatting before, and I know that in both of our practices, well, let me say for my practice, there are many obstacles that come up when people start to move or want to begin a fitness program or exercise or just want to feel better in their bodies. There's lots of things that comes up. But the number one thing that I feel like gets in the way, especially for people who, would classify themselves as busy, which I feel like is almost everybody, is the time, like how to fit it in. So that is what I wanted to pick your brain about a little bit today and just see if you can help us how you deal with that with your clients in your practice and in your own life, because I know that you have so many things going on too.
Awesome. So yes, this really does come up. I think it's the top excuse for everyone. And what I would like to focus on is the differentiation between movement and exercise. And I think a lot of us get hung up on, I have to exercise, I have to exercise, I have to exercise. And, I have to do 30 minutes a day or however much is in your brain or the government is telling you or whoever's telling you what you need. We kind of have this set idea and just noticing that even people that are what we would normally consider active, like myself, like you, that maybe do exercises we exercise a lot. We do workouts, we go to classes. Maybe there's a lot of runners out there, people that are generally active. But for even a lot of those active people, they would be classified to me and kind of the work that I'm studying now with sort of exercise, nutritious movement, Katie Bowman, as active sedentary. Because think of how most of us still spend most of our time, and that's kind of sitting in one position or like slouched in one position on the sofa, or we sit and we eat and we in chairs and we drive in cars, we sit at a desk, and that's not even if we just sit at a desk all day, and which is a lot of us sitting at a desk. We go home, sit in a chair. And so a lot of the work that I do in general is working with people with pain and injury and working on that in terms of full body alignment. And once you start looking at full body alignment, it's not just movement and exercise doesn't just become about losing weight. So I don't work with a lot of people to lose weight. And my focus is primarily on feeling amazing. And I know you do a lot of work to help people feel better in their skin, just feel at home in their skin. And that's a big priority for both of us. And so in order to do that, if you have a body that's really aligned when you just stand, and we're talking kind of posture and alignment, if you have a body that's really aligned, it's going to feel good. You're not going to have as much compression in your joints. Your joints will be well hydrated, will have plenty of space. You won't have all those aches and pains and tensions that generally come with a body that isn't really stacked. And so in general, basic outline of the work that I do right now is a lot of work to help realign, to de-stress joints. But in order to do that, you have to kind of change the way you move. So people say you are what you eat all the time. And this is kind of a movement saying you are how you move, not just in your exercise classes, because that is a really tiny amount of your entire life or day or week, we're talking the kind of everyday movements, the way you sit, the way or don't sit, the way you stand or don't stand. So what I'd like to do today, and I think I was inspired by this because when we were first talking, I was like, yeah, I could give some tips for, knee pain. It's like a lot of people have knee pain. Yeah, that's true. I have some great ways to help stabilize your pelvis and like one or two exercises I could show. But when it comes down to it, it's like those one or two exercises that you do occasionally isn't really going to do the trick. Like it's really about, so then I kind of wanted to zoom out and be like, hey, since we're talking a bunch of fitness people, this is where I come from too, can we start thinking about movement slightly differently? So we still have the time. I know you have a lot of great kind of short videos. So we have the time when you can cut out the time to do that, amazing for getting more specific and having a little more time and focus and settling down. But can we find other ways to kind of, Katie Bowman called it stacking your life, where it's like you don't have to take an extra hour to do that fitness thing when it's only that 1 hour of the day. Can you take something that you're doing for longer periods and put in movements? And sometimes we say like sitting at your desk, can you set a timer every hour and get up and move? That's one way to do it. But if you're talking about creating a more dynamic workspace or living space, that's what I want to touch upon today, because that will end up kind of solving one of the bigger problems than if I gave you one exercise to support you for knee pain.
Absolutely. I love that so much. I just wanted to say, because I even love the perspective before we even get into the actual moving. I just love the perspective shift of that, because I feel like there's also, even if we're not talking about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, getting to the gym, like those are all things, but I think there's also an extra stress around this is just something extra that I have to add into my life. And I already have this list of to-dos that I'm crossing off every day or week or whatever. And it becomes a stressor in itself, just finding time. And I love the perspective that you're sharing with us, that it's kind of that cliche thing too about becoming a lifestyle, but it's even more than that. Not just a lifestyle, but it is, your body is your life, and how you are with it all the time matters. So I love that.
And so one other thing that we talk about, just to add in before I kind of show you some of the movements and suggestions that I have, is Katie Bowman speaks about movement vitamins. You take your vitamins because there's certain foods that you aren't getting, and maybe you're not getting enough of certain vitamins. And so movement vitamins are those movements that your body just doesn't notice, how it just doesn't move like that anymore. And I say all the time, move it or lose it. I have a lot of older clients. I know you work with a lot of older clients where getting up and down off the floor is a struggle. And I, like, no, let's not wait until it's a struggle. Let's use that movement every day. It's a vitamin like anything else that if your body doesn't use these kind of folds in order to get up and down off the floor, because, notice in a chair how little you have to fold in any of your folding parts in order to sit in a chair. Not many. If you're only sitting in chairs all day and sitting for long periods of time, your body gets molded to that. It's like wearing a cast. So over and over through the years, and then all of a sudden you go to, people laugh when you're like in a squat, and it's like, I could never do that. And I've actually rebuilt this. Like I couldn't do it either, even in my dancing time. Like sitting down comfortably in a squat without something under my heels was hard for a while, and I've kind of rebuilt this over the past couple of years, really. But just the fact that the body can evolve, that there's kind of certain movement vitamins that I want you to start noticing that maybe you don't have or you're losing. And it's like, don't freak out. Just maybe think about working some of these things back in. And I would say the number one thing is getting down to the floor. Like, can you just getting up and down off the floor on a regular basis? So I realize a lot of you at work can't really necessarily be on the floor, but you can find the space and time at home, whether it's if you have time, if you're checking Facebook or emails on a computer at home. Sometimes I'll put my computer, it's on kind of a low mat right now, and then I'll just show you what I'm sitting on. And if you want to start participating and kind of finding a great way to sit on the floor, getting something where you can have your sits bones. For some of you, it's been so long since you've been on the floor, you're going to need to be way, way, way up. And there's so many positions. I'm going to let my head be cut out for a second. There's so many positions where you can find length. So in the chair, we're always in that bent knee shape, slouched, often kind of slouched back. So on the floor, you don't have that support, and you kind of got to provide it for yourself. So if you get up high enough where your sits bones can be down, maybe you've got a computer in front of you, you're doing some other work, maybe you're on a phone call, maybe you're watching TV if that's a habit at the end of the day. But whatever you're doing, can you bolster yourself up high enough that you can get up tall? You don't want to be, sometimes when we're on the floor because we haven't gotten there in a while, it's like, this is as good as we can do. And that is going to hurt your back and feel horribly uncomfortable. But if you give yourself a little boost, and are up higher, there's so many great positions. You can end up kind of doing half a yoga class during, watching Westworld or whatever you're watching these days. It doesn't have to take a lot of energy if you're really up on your sits bones. It's hard work if you're kind of scrunched up in here. And then you find different positions to hang out in, one leg in. I do my emails like this, just sitting on a block. You put something behind you. You could practice that, those deeper folds like a squat would be, but again, you're sitting up, so it's not strain. You don't want to get to a place where you're straining, but you do want to feel a little like you're using something or holding something or pulling on gently on something that doesn't always get much of a pull. Out here. So squatting is one of those daily vitamins that people just don't do anymore. And you can see it's not just because you're, in the fitness world, it's like, don't put your butt below your knees. It's like, well, have you been sitting in chairs your whole life and haven't gotten, then yes, it's going to be really hard. There's ways to do it without the full weight. I mean, I've gotten to the point where I can go up and down safely, but that's taking work, even for me.
Yeah.
So just finding little ways that you can comfortably, but not collapse, be and exist on the floor is a huge one. So even, taking your TV time, taking time, when you go to the park to watch a show this summer, don't bring a chair. Please don't bring a chair. Just sit on the ground. Sit on your bag or get something kind of under you, or sit on a hill is kind of nice to kind of get that length too. So a nice rule that I tell a lot of my clients is before you, yes, you're still allowed to relax on the couch at the end of a long day, but can you first get on the floor? You'll end up doing a few things and then relax on the sofa. No problem. And just in general, start noticing how often you are in that same exact position all the time. And if you are at work and standing, let me just show you one thing standing, or a couple things standing. Yes. A couple tools standing that are nice, or anything to vary the surface on your feet, like a soft ball you could stand on. I have a half dome, which is fancy, but you could have a blanket or a rolled up towel. I'm going to aim at my feet for a second.
Yeah.
And just in standing, can you, a great calf stretch will change the way you walk, which is a big deal. So heel on the floor,
I love that one.
Really high. But just hanging out here for a little bit, for up to a minute or two on each side. If you do one at a time, if you're doing it with me now, stay with one side for a while. I'll go ahead and do that too. And then when you step back, you'll notice a huge difference in just the way you're standing into your feet. And so that, again, is pointing to alignment. If we can get your pelvis to align better, if we can get your gait to work more efficiently, a lot of us are so stuck and tight in this position, again, because we're not out walking hills all the time necessarily, and we kind of get tight when sitting. So if you've done that for a while, step on your own 2 feet, notice how much more grounded that one side is. You've got more space. You can sit into your heel a little bit more. You can try the same thing on the other side. So you can continue to do that while I show the very last thing is just keep going on that side if you're on it. But if you have a soft ball, just stepping all over it. So your foot has some variability. And the other thing, our feet get so warm, we lost the ability to wiggle our toes.
I'm getting mine. I keep a ball. This is actually, I'm realizing, a good trick. I keep a ball in the drawer in my desk right here.
Yes.
And actually, I'm going to do it. You won't be able to see me when I'm standing, but I'm going to do that. I can do that from sitting too, right?
Absolutely.
Not as much pressure, but.
Because a lot of that is, like feet too, is like very high on that move it or lose it list. So many people have feet that are kind of, it's like toes are stuck together. There's not a lot of mobility. They can't wiggle their toes anymore. And these are all things we had at some point, just like the squat, that we've kind of lost. And then that affects whole body alignment. So if things aren't working anymore, so toes aren't working and mobile, the rest of your body up the chain is just, you're not going to fall over. Your body's going to keep working. It's not going to be super efficient.
Yeah.
you're going to start using muscles that they're not doing their right job. They're doing something different. And that leads to, again, the pain and tension and compression in your joints. Your joints will wear down faster. So all of those things. And that didn't take any extra time. You could be doing the foot stuff while you're making coffee, while you're on your phone, while you're touching base with your partner at the end of the day. Like, it doesn't have to be just standing there. You could get on the floor while you're reconnecting with someone. You have a friend over, if they're open to it, just get on the floor and talk with each other, move around a little bit. You and I would do that. But
I was just gonna say, this is like the dancer life. I feel like dancers are very comfortable with that. And I often have people come over and I kind of announce it sometimes. I'm like, I'm gonna sit on the floor.
yeah.
If anyone else would like to, that's okay too.
Hopefully one day, like, we have more spaces like that where, like, I'm comfortable sitting on the floor at the airport. I was just traveling, and it's like I'm on the floor with my kids sometimes, and it's better for you. It's better for your body. But we're very, especially with public spaces, at least with your own
in your own home. Yeah. Everybody, I feel like everybody could, well, I'm not going to assume what everybody's comfortable with doing, but in your own home, if you're not comfortable, maybe you can create a space.
Yes, which is my last point. I think that's the most important thing in changing behavior lately for me, is changing your environment to change your behavior. So put things on the floor that are suited toward stretching your feet or sitting up on, and just have them in there inviting you to the floor. Have little seat cushions on the floor. Have it be more inviting than anything else. And it takes a little while to create a new habit, but it's amazing.
I have to say, in my experience of that situation where you're at your own home and maybe someone comes over that you're socializing with or having a conversation with that maybe hasn't been a dancer in their past life or isn't as familiar with movement, I can see in where you're at, you've got a roller just right there. And I've noticed actually that when I have some things like that, a rolled up towel or a yoga blanket or a yoga block or a roller just kind of around, people are often curious about them, even if they're not familiar with them. And so actually, I mean, not that you have to go around teaching everyone, but it could be a good moment to be inclusive and be like, oh yeah, this is what I do with this. But I also, on that note, I also like how you mentioned a couple things that you don't really need the fancy yoga/fitness equipment. A lot of this stuff you can do a rubber ball, a folded towel, just something to elevate your hips. So not only are you not spending extra time in your day, but you're not getting extra bells and whistles that you don't need.
Right. Just having it around where it's inviting to you. And if you need something that's cuter and more inviting, sure, go out and buy something that's cuter and more inviting that looks like a sitting cushion, whatever. Whatever helps. Use your coffee table more often to work with your computer. And yeah, just the other thing, the habit, of like leaning in bed and working on your computer in your lap.
Oh yeah. Yeah, cut that one out. Yeah.
Either really actually relax and put the computer away.
Yeah.
Or sit up tall and, do something. I've practically done a whole yoga class just sitting here talking to you.
I was going to say, you just saved 90 minutes on a yoga class. Okay, this is all such great information. Let's just recap really quickly because I feel like that was a lot, even though they were great, simple tools that we can fit into our day. So what are the bullet points of what we just went over that people could just grab with them and go after they watch this video?
Great. So number one, I want you to just notice the amount of time you spend in the same positions. Then two, start to rethink your environment. Pull out some cushions. Get on the floor more often is kind of with number three. Creating a more dynamic space where you can be sitting on things, off things, sideways, back ways, front ways, all over the place. And then in standing, we talked about mobilizing the foot with something soft, or kind of mobilizing the lower leg just with your toes elevated. And just see how you can work those into your life. Once you've noticed how hard it is to get up and down from the floor, if you groan and grunt when you get up and down from the floor, we're going to work on that. And all of these things they're all changeable. You just, new habits, new environments, and it becomes this slow evolution. And you'll notice you can get lower to the floor, and then maybe you'd only need one block instead of 5. you know. So just make yourself comfortable, explore a few new ways to move, and yeah, see if you can do it in ways that don't really aren't extra, that you're doing something else, you're connecting to someone or something.
You're not taking anything out. You're just putting sprinkling a few things in.
And notice, I mean, it makes a huge difference. And with everyone that's already consistent, you know, getting in some of your workouts during the week, if you add this kind of thing on top of it, everything that you do, it just like snowballs that much faster. So all the results that you want, you'll be doing your workouts better because you'll be more open and loose and everything will be working more efficiently. So just a great package altogether.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing this with us, Zoe. So Zoe and I would love to hear from you. So post in the comment below which one of the tools that she mentioned and she showed us that you are going to implement today after you watch this video. We really want to know. So leave a comment below, and also below this video I'm going to share ways that you can follow Zoe and see her work and really get more movement vitamins in and not have to spend any extra time throughout your day, but incorporate them into what you've already got going on. So we want to hear from you. And Zoe, thank you so much for being with us and sharing your knowledge and your wisdom and your goodness.
Thank you. It's always good to see you, Elyse.
Bye.